Five, four, three, two, one.
Did you like my little Klaus Schwab there in the intro?
Good, yeah.
You like that? In his Intergalactic Federation uniform.
Yeah, I did.
Right, hello, willkommen, bienvenue, konnichiwa, ni hao, jambo, marhaba.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. It's time for the Armist Inquisition yet again, episode 192 on Sunday the 25th of July. I'm Amish Phil.
I'm Amish Ben.
I'm Orange Matt.
The giant, the cripple, and the mother of madness.
And we got Jack Allen here from Conspiracy, or Just a Coincidence. How are we doing, Jack?
I'm doing awesome, guys. Thanks, sir. That was a great intro, dude. At first, I was like, dude, I just get transported back in time, that damn sound.
Oh, the old dial-up modem.
Yeah, the old dial-up.
Do you remember it well? Do you mind me asking how old you are, Jack?
Oh, yeah, I'm about to be 31, so I remember
a young pup.
Yeah, a baby.
Yeah, dude.
So you remember the old 56K?
Yes, dude. I remember it was like huge when people got that DSL or whatever when it was like broadband came out and we didn't have it.
Yeah.
They made it like, huge difference.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're sort of this generation that is going to remember life before the internet. It's quite bizarre, really.
I remember having a phone card that you could use in a green phone booth before mobiles and things like that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Charge it up.
I think Jack, it's going to be the historians are going to have a field day with this point in history and the internet and the dawning of the information superhighway, as it used to be called, is going to be something that goes down as a seminal moment, I would say, in our development. Would you agree?
Yeah. There's so many good things that come with it, and then I think the jury's still out if it's a positive thing or not.
Yeah, I think I've often thought about social media, and I think it's pretty hard to argue these days that social media is a net benefit. There's all sorts of issues that go along with it. I think it maybe started off that way.
MySpace was good, wasn't it? I remember you could put your tracks out there if you were in a crappy band and people would be...
Yeah, but what happened to it? It's gone.
Well, I know.
It's gone. But I remember when Facebook first started and you would add your extended family, your close family, your extended family, your close friends, and then you might add people who you knew from high school who you'd lost touch with, that sort of thing, maybe work colleagues. But now it's different, isn't it? It's about collecting friends, especially Twitter, collecting followers. And this is
that's a good point.
It's a completely different dynamic, isn't it? Especially with Twitter.
Selling to people now, isn't it? It's advertising and trying to get your product in front of as many eyes as possible. Like everything else, it's just been infected with that.
Yeah, there's an old maxim in marketing, isn't there? If it's free, you're the product.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
And that definitely applies. Or your data is the product, it would seem, with most of these companies. Are you... I'm sort of like a reluctant user of social media. How do you feel about it? Are you quite...
Yeah, I'm only on Twitter. My fiance runs my face. I have like no desire to... I don't know, dude. But yeah, I use it, but I realize, like my mom's that classic boomer, she loves Facebook, always on Facebook, and like, you can just see how, I don't know, just how it's dominate. And I even feel bad for like the younger generations because they like promiscuity and all this stuff. It's just introduced younger and more pressure to look a fake way and, all these things like that.
Oh yeah, that's the sort of virtual signaling component, isn't it? And people look at how people present themselves on social media and assume that this is some sort of bearing in reality, whereas the way people present themselves is usually false, isn't it, on social media? People only post the good news generally, or they post the selfies of them at their best. It gives people a false expectation. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there has been a bit more of a movement towards people posting kind of stuff, the Insta kind of pictures, and then the real life ones, and they do it side by side now and stuff. A little bit more, but again, that's kind of
Still, it's a virtue.
Yeah, that's what I'm just about to say. So it's like they do it because it's on trend to do that, and it's seen as like a cool thing to do, isn't it?
You get people who post when things are going terribly as well.
Yeah, that's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Pity gathering.
Yeah, my life can't be any worse. That's a craving for. That's a different psychological need that people are trying to fulfill, isn't it?
What's up, hun?
Are you okay, hun?
Well, yeah, they're fishing for sympathy, aren't they, rather than compliments?
Yeah.
To a degree,
the same side of the coin, different side of the same coin, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's. I mean, the other thing as well is, I think a lot of people are lonely. But if you put your phone down,
that's what Tinder's for,
and go out. Well, exactly, yeah, and go out, you would probably meet someone that you could be friends with.
I don't know. Do you think that the sort of the instant gratification paradigm we're in, sort of catalyzed with social media, means, Jack, that we're having less meaningful relationships with each other?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's insane. That it's just another awesome control mechanism. I think, it's just going to continue to, it's like scary to see what social media will be or what we'll be in like 15 years from now. Like I can't even, everything will be online. There is no, that's how you get your, the jokes, you live in the pod, all those things. But yeah.
Yeah, I would not like to predict the way things are going. In fact, this reminds me of it. We got sent a news story right on this topic, which I think you'll be interested to know about. This is it's a company called VRE, and this is the title: VRE to launch corporate metaverse in 2022. So, VR Education Holdings PLC, a virtual reality technology company, is pleased to announce the planned development of a new, fully featured corporate metaverse. The metaverse is the next evolution of the group's proprietary VR software platform, Engage. The project is called Engage Oasis, with the launch expected first half of 2022. It's inspired by Ready Player One. You remember that film and book?
Yeah.
People sort of have this avatar in the metaverse.
Right.
And they're going to use it for business professionals, corporations, young professionals, college students. Cloud-based digital city where actual business can be done, selling products and services.
VR linked it.
VR, yeah, it'll have VR, the whole lot. That's what their inspiration is, that Ready Player One digital universe, like a second life.
Dude, that's like terrifying, kind of.
It is for me, because I'm just going to be in a cabin in the woods, whittling
Dude,
things.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, cabin in your garage, you mean?
Dude,
do you ever get the feeling of just sort of
dude.
abandon it all, Jack?
Yeah, dude. Because I don't even, it's just going to get, I don't know what like your area is like with the vaccines, but you can already see like these two groups forming, because they're not going to have to like, probably hold you down, but you'll just not be allowed to do anything. So you have these probably like these super cities, and then people living in the woods just trying to make it as long as you can, because that's what's all. I mean, I don't see how it ends up any other way.
Embrace the metaverse.
So lazy.
Yeah. Fuck the metaverse. But it just seems so shallow. It seems so shallow to me, a lot of these relationships that we have. And I don't think you can replace that human contact. I don't care how good the VR is, how realistic it is. There's something about being able to smell someone, maybe.
That's not always a good thing, though, is it?
Do you not think? Think that it's that you can replace that? No?
Well, obviously, no. I think there is something different, isn't there? I think we've all found out over the last 18 months or whatever that there's something different about doing things over Zoom and video link and all the rest of it, as compared to doing things face to face.
I was listening to an interview with a doctor just the other day, and he was talking about a lot of the consultations with general practitioners have gone via video link. You can't get an in-person appointment.
Right.
And he was saying that we're missing things.
You can't smell a wound over
Shocking.
Zoom.
Right.
No, I just...
Not yet.
You do. I think you can. You definitely, if you don't see the whole person, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you know, if you just see like the head and shoulders, if you're lucky, sometimes I just see the eyes. Then you miss loads of stuff basically.
This doctor was saying that this patient had something like 6 or 8 consultations with different people, and all of them missed until he was brought in front of someone that his hemoglobin levels were the lowest that had ever been seen in a living patient.
Jeez.
You know.
Well, dude, it's just like that whole kind of like you said, like shallow relationships, even like family. It's just like these family units are being destroyed. You know, it just like keeps going. Everything's losing.
What do you mean by family? Do you mean sort of like the idea of the nuclear family?
Right. Yeah.
That's,
I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, have you thought about what the root causes of that could possibly be from sort of the 1950s, 60s onwards?
I think it has a lot to do with like the propaganda that's put out, like TV and kind of I said like promiscuity, and I mean like there's a good example like in like Mexico before there were soap operas, everyone had like 5 or 6 kids on average. Like you had these huge families, and in America too. But then you know TV comes out, most people have a TV, and they start putting this like soap opera on that's real popular, and they had 2 kids, and literally the next generation kids, these families, because they all watched this show, they like thought, wow, we can't give enough love to these 5 kids, so let's have 2, you know. So it's, but yeah.
There was a British sitcom in the early 90s called 2.4 Children.
Yeah.
And it was about a married couple with 2 kids and a dog.
And then did they not subsequently make a reboot it with, and it was like 1.8 children?
What happened?
I'm sure,
what happened to the dog?
I'm sure that's a true story. That.
I mean, this might be controversial. Do you think? I mean, one of the things that probably shrinks the number of children is that married couples tend to have children later in life now. And I wonder if it might be if women entering the workplace is a component to this.
Yeah, you would think so, and contraception as well.
Contraception.
That would probably would have happened around about that time, like the pill. That kind of thing.
That's true
Making
too.
a choice. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was encouraged, wasn't it, for women to start working, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, well, the governments of the world realise that half the population is economically inactive, and we should be having a piece of that. You know, get them into work, and we can start taxing them.
Well, that's why the Rockefeller Foundation backed the first wave, whatever, I don't know, first wave or second wave feminism. So, you know, it's not because they care about you and they want you to live a fulfilling life, right? You know, like, so that just, anytime those companies back something, it's a good idea to do the opposite. Probably, you know, it's a general rule.
It kind of fits the whole growth thing as well in capitalism, in that it's like based on perpetual growth, isn't it? So as soon as something stops growing, or a market stops growing, or your business stops growing, you're fucked, aren't you? Basically.
That's a really good point.
So if you
That's a good point.
you need to get more people into the machine, don't you? Essentially.
You just see like in divorce rates, and you get even like social, and I think that's all like part of the success. You know, people just promiscuity is crazy. Yeah, yeah. Even porn, dude. I know that's like a weird topic, but that's like also I'm pretty anti pornography, but I just think that's been like a leech on society. You know, it's just ruined. I mean, there's
it's certainly getting weirder.
That, well, that's it too, dude. That's it too. And like after school hours, it's up 400%. So kids clearly younger than 18 are accessing this.
Yeah.
And then the search history, like you just said, it gets like progressively weirder. You know, whatever weird's a bad descriptor, but
I feel like this is an intervention.
For Phil.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely. I think anything can be an addiction. I saw a TV documentary once of a woman who was addicted to gnawing on her baby's used nappies.
Oh God!
Yeah, that's quite a common one.
Yeah, so I'm certain that pornography and masturbation can also be an addiction. And it's funny you met Cracky, Jack. It's almost like I read your mind, because I have another story from this week.
Wow, look at that. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
You'll love this.
Synchronicity.
Single Japanese man, 51, almost masturbates himself to death after suffering a stroke moments after he ejaculated.
The key word here is almost.
Yeah, so he's never going to learn, is he?
I know. Right-handed man in Germany had a life-threatening stroke while masturbating. It's called a subarachnoid hemorrhage, and it usually happens during physical effort.
Right.
Yeah, apparently, expert told the Mail Online sexual activity accounts for up to 14% of strokes.
Oh.
Vinegar strokes.
Jesus.
So I would say that
good.
guy definitely had an addiction.
Well, you
That
don't
might have
know.
been his first time.
Yeah.
Apparently he was masturbating several times a day. I mean, what is several? Is that more than 5? More than 3?
Dude, that is...
Yeah, I would, a couple is 2.
Yeah.
1 is 1.
Yeah.
So several is 3 or more.
3 is the magic number. You should have stuck with 3.
Yeah.
3 times a day.
Yeah. A trio, unless you say a trio of wanks or something.
Not sure that's printable.
That was from the Daily Mail.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Hard-hitting Daily Mail.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they do put a lot in their articles. A lot of detail. Have you noticed?
Quantity over quality.
They have a lot of quantity, yeah. Not rarely quality, but they do have quantity.
Yeah, and a lot of typos I notice when I ever read anything on there.
Really?
A lot of typos, yeah.
Who owns Daily Mail? I always was wondering, are they owned in the UK, or are they owned by like one of the monsters like Viacom or?
Is it Richard Desmond still?
Tom
Or is he
Guy.
the Daily Sport guy?
It used
to be Murdoch, didn't it?
No,
No,
it's
it's
never been
Times,
Murdoch.
yeah.
No, so I think it was some kind of aristocratic family in the UK that owned it. Whether that's still the case now, I don't know.
Right. I wanted to know if it was like Maxwell. I didn't know if he owned it originally or not.
Robert Maxwell.
He was the Mirror.
Yeah.
Wasn't
He was involved in the Mirror, wasn't he?
Yeah, and
And
a Mossad agent.
And Mossad, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or not?
They put out a good paper.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So Jack, I had a look at your back catalogue earlier. You've just ticked over 100 episodes.
I have, dude.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Did you do anything? Did you do anything special for it?
No, I forgot. I had a good guy on though. He calls himself Big Papa Fascist, but he's he debates. So he's pretty intelligent. I wouldn't want to debate him. I'd get my ass handed, but yeah, that was a good episode.
Yeah, I noticed that I was looking through, and we seem to have quite a few mutual friends. I know you've had the odd man on a number of times.
He's my buddy. Yeah.
We've had him
He's a
on
good
2 or
dude.
3 times, I think.
Yeah, it's a good guy.
Keep saying we need to get him back on, but it's just We seem to be booking that far in advance.
Yeah.
I meant to get him on after the election, and it's just not happening. But you've had Adam Lolano from Deborah Gets Red Pilled on, haven't you? And Charlie Robinson, and the real Mr. Dank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a personal intense favourite of mine, Ken Ami.
Oh yeah,
Ken
Matt.
Ami,
Ah, Ken.
With his
He
piercing
hates
blue eyes.
giants, dude.
Don't we know it? Don't we know it? Yeah, he took us to school, didn't he? On Nephilim.
He did.
Oh, dude, yeah. I didn't. When I had him on, I just started, and like so, I researched his books, and I like wrote like all those topics. It's like that conspiracy candy that you love, to, like Spawn of Satan and all this stuff. So I'm like expecting this conversation to go a certain way, and then so I said, "So, tell me about the Nephilim." And whoa, man, I forget how I worded it, but however I worded it, he like was like, well, the definition, and I was like, oh my God, but yeah.
Yeah, let's be precise with our terms.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's it.
It's great.
That's it.
It's great because, I mean, not wanting to offend anyone or any previous guests, but there is a lot of misinformation floating about and a lot of crazy stuff floating about, and it's easy to get sucked into these things, and having someone with a sort of really rational, analytical point of view like Ken Ami is, I think, inherently useful.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Do you sort of, is that the sort of philosophy with you when you're looking at these subjects? Are you trying to, what I gather from what I've heard, and that is you're trying to sort of separate the wheat from the chaff and keep your feet on the ground?
Yeah, because when you're first started, you're like so into those like crazy topics, right? And then like the more, I don't know, now I'm like kind of this spot where it's like there's the crazy things I think are added to make us look crazy, So like I try not to even those real fun topics that I love to listen about, like Antarctica and all this stuff. I just don't know what to even believe because, I think a lot of it is sent to make us look crazy, right? So I don't know.
You think there is some sort of deliberate disinfo engagement with the conspiracy community?
Yeah, and like the letter, the letter that shall not be named. Like now, they just label anything that comes out associated with that, and the majority, not that the majority of the public would accept any of these corruption scandals, but now they just easily push them away, and kind of like the JFK conspiracy, like that's a conspiracy theory, and that did the same thing as this the Q movement did, for things now.
Yeah. What was your take on the election? Do you think there was a lot of fuckery going around, or what?
I think so. I mean, now like I just read this. I mean, but anyway, yes, I think there was problems, but they've always done that, right? Like
on both sides.
Yes, it's like in Tammany Hall in New York City, that you couldn't win an election without bribing Tammany Hall, which was like the, I think where they all like congregated and all the rich people. So like, dude, they ballot stuffed and all these things, constantly. It's not like nothing new.
No.
Right?
There was.
What about you guys?
Sorry?
Do you guys think? Do you think it was on the up and up, or do you put much thought into it?
Who's going?
I don't know. It seemed odd, didn't it? But I think there was a lot of, again, like Phil was saying, a lot of misinformation flying around. You don't know what to think, and you just take things on face value. I mean, it's so far away for us. But then by the same token, we've had some elections over here that have been questioned by certain members of society, I guess, and talk of Russian interference, of course, on both sides of the pond.
Yeah, it's always the Russians.
Or North Korea.
You need a bogeyman, don't you? That's otherwise, where's your argument going?
Yeah, I think the role of social media in the last US election is sort of a new twist and a new dynamic. And I think there's more to that edge of the story than meets the eye.
Yeah. But you're right. They always need a boogeyman. That's
just because they're so powerful, and they have so much power in shaping opinions, both individual opinions and national opinions. And I don't know what
Amazing.
I don't know what the solution is with that. You know, do they want to be regulated? Do you try and regulate them? I don't know.
Social media you're talking about.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the fact checkers will solve it.
Well, it's just another can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who fact checks the fact checkers?
Well, the interesting one is
Dude,
the gain of function thing, isn't it? That's going on now, which was like you will get you banned from Facebook and Instagram and all the rest of it. But now he's being reported on like the BBC here in the UK, and I imagine everywhere else. You know, as like a possible, thing that happened.
Same with ivermectin. You know, you would get banned or get a strike on YouTube for talking about ivermectin, even though there's 60 odd clinical trials that have been done on this drug.
So it's this thing, isn't it, about, we've spoken about before about being a publisher and a platform and the difference between the two. And, when you're making kind of editorial decisions about what can and can't be posted, then you're becoming a publisher.
It's moving too fast before the mainstream narrative settles. So we had the same sort of thing, ivermectin. We had the same thing with hydrochloroquine briefly.
Yeah.
But it's moved so quickly that people try and stamp, or I say people, whoever it is trying to stamp on
Susan Wojcicki.
on this sort of talk on social media. But it moves so quickly, and then the next thing comes along, and it's the mainstream thought machine can't keep up, and there's no mainstream narrative at the start, and everyone's saying, this is this and this is the other, and I suppose it's almost panic that they're trying to stamp on everything. And then eventually, as Matt was saying, you get the mainstream narrative becomes talk of, well, did it escape from a lab? It's plausible, just like a million other things are plausible. But they're actually talking about it now. So those people who got banned from YouTube and stuff are now, what happens to them? They've been vindicated, really.
Yeah, but I bet they're not allowed back on YouTube.
Well,
now.
exactly.
Yeah. And they've lost all the followers and stuff.
And I think part of the problem is that the algorithmic tools that they use are such blunt instruments for regulating themselves, Mm-hmm. And even if, you get a strike and you send it to a real person, they don't change their mind.
No.
We got fucking struck for talking about demon sperm, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
That was an odd cast, wasn't it?
Have you had any brushes with censorship yet, Jack?
Because I try not to even touch many obviously the election was the big thing. I just stayed away from that, and same with COVID. I usually read books, and then that's my episode will outline the book, the information in that book. So usually those are pretty 10, 15 years ago topics. So that kind of just doesn't, that alleviates that censorship issue.
Yeah, it's had time to settle, hasn't it? After that, not much time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a decade or so. Then you can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah,
exactly. The other thing as well is like Mallen, isn't it? Friend of the show, Mallen Baker.
Oh, yes.
And he literally researches a topic and talks about the facts of it. And he's been he doesn't say that he's been shadow banned, does he? But he's been, something's happened.
No, he does. He's saying...
He's shadow banned now, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah, he's not being, what do you call it? Suggested.
Yeah.
So,
right.
And his sort of YouTube channel was doing really well, wasn't it? It was picking up sort of tens of thousands of
yeah, he was getting
subs and stuff.
100 new subs a day or something. And then he did a video on, I think it was a video on ivermectin, and it just went down to nothing.
Dude, yeah.
And this is the power that they have,
Yeah.
And so a lot of people again, I work with, my boss is a boomer, and he's real conservative, and he'll be like, back in my day they read the news, they didn't give you opinions, but they've been controlling the newspaper since the dawn of the newspaper and the printing press, now what's difficult is because of independent people like us and stuff. Now other information is getting out that they never would have let get out before. So they need to find a way to reel it in, because again, there was a good quote, when the printing press came out, they asked like the priest who would, like, if it was in the Bible or in the newspaper, what, like, they would have, their beliefs were the ones that were in the newspaper, right? Because it's just bound to happen. You take this as fact, it's written. I don't know, but I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just so powerful, you know. So powerful.
And one of the things that comes to my mind all the time when people talk about sort of it, you know, not being a new thing is the what's the thing around paper mills and hemp?
Hearst, William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah, was it something?
Yes,
that,
yeah.
Have you looked into that, Jack?
I just probably the same about you guys. You can explain it better than me, probably.
No, that's as much as I can remember. Something on the lines of hemp was being a better product. Yeah.
Right. He owned the paper, and then he wanted to make sure that, like, I think he owned, like, lumber interests or trees, and so he shut down the hemp.
Yeah. And
creation.
Was it not? Yeah, part of the, like, the reefer madness or whatever. Was that not what it was?
Yeah. There was a cover of. I think there was a cover of Scientific America, and it said something like "hemp, the new $1 billion crop."
Right. Okay.
Because there was a machine. Was it called the decorticator? That was invented that would take the hemp fibers and make them a lot more
durable, viable.
No, easy to manufacture.
Right. Okay.
Less labor intensive.
Right.
And so it would have a competitive advantage over paper. Because it regrows so much faster
and quick as well,
than standard trees.
Yeah.
So apparently, Hearst went on this propaganda campaign to get rid of it.
But, like, you know, we've 100 years on or whatever, 100 odd years on from that, and everyone's going wild about cutting trees down and stuff for wood and making paper. Why are we not using hemp for paper?
We should have huge swaths of hemp fields.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Why are we not using it?
I don't think you can grow it in this country.
Dude, it's just so sickening. Like how much these people that control things, they like pick these industries. Like, did you know, like at the World's Fair in like 1896 or 1904, they had 3 cars. One ran by water, one ran by oil, and one ran by something else. So they had 3 cars that are working, and obviously, you know, Rockefeller controls oil. He probably bought out those patents, and you never see them to the light, you know?
Yeah, J.P. Morgan, Standard Oil.
Right.
I met a guy once who swears he had a car that ran on water, like properly convinced, and he showed me the engine. He had all these kind of manifolds on it and stuff, but he never showed me it running. So
it was a Flintstones car. His feet were on the ground.
That's funny, dude. But yeah, it's just like, you know, we wouldn't, and plastic, like the worst invention in the world. You know, like all these, it can be like real. I can see why like the environmental crazy people go crazy, you know, because it is sad, dude. Like,
well, it's the sort of lack of corporate responsibility and being able to trash the environment and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, this is one of the problems I have with this, with the sort of hardcore libertarian viewpoint. In that, how do you control these massive companies from just trashing the place, for one? You know, how do you break up monopolies? You know, I have a lot of sympathy with sort of libertarianism. I'll probably describe myself more as a classical liberal. But there are problems where I don't see a simple way out without some sort of intervention on a state level.
I agree, dude. I think there is like a lot of good points. So libertarian, I mean, I'm going to debate one guy in a few weeks, but that's like one of the big things, like like that. How do you stop a company from owning the world and just, you know, you can't do it, dude. We would be living in Amazon pod, working at a fulfillment center, and getting our rations of Amazon food, and you know, like you couldn't stop it.
Fucking shoot me.
I wonder if you get to go to space though.
I get to in your giant penis rocket.
Yeah.
They've said he's not allowed to call himself an astronaut.
No, they've come out. The Federal Space Agency, I think it was.
This is Bezos who's gone up in his
Yeah.
cot rocket.
Yeah. And was he not?
Dude,
Go on. So go, Jack. Go
he
on.
was only 60 miles in the air. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's,
Like that dude. And they're making like he's in space. I mean, supposedly in 1969, 240,000 miles away. So now we have all computer in our iPhone. It's more high tech then, but he can only go 60 miles in the sky. You know,
Have you
sounds
looked,
fishy, dude.
have you looked? Have you done an episode on the moon landing?
Yeah.
What did you discover?
Oh, dude. I mean, I'll give that the photos that have and all the video we have is not real. Like that wasn't on the moon.
And it's conveniently
maybe
been
we
lost
have,
as
like-
well, hasn't it? All of it. It's all disappeared.
Oh yeah.
Really?
All the
dude.
telemetry,
There-
everything's gone.
Right.
One of-
Okay.
One of the big points I bring up, like the spacesuits that they made. So they've never been to this foreign moon before. And who do they get to do it? Playtex. The same women that are sewing bras and underwear. Their manager, is he an engineer? No, he runs a TV repair store, and he got a side job managing these women sewing the suits. Film back then, you had to like aperture and everything. No blurry photo, none, not a one blurry photo, which happens very easily. And the film, it had to be able to withstand positive 200 and minus 200 degrees, and that there was no special film or camera. All this stuff makes zero sense.
So, what's your theory? What's your working theory?
They faked that footage. I don't even know, dude. Where do you guys? I don't know if you guys stand on space is real or not. If you can actually get out.
Oh,
I don't
I'm
know
getting
where
it.
I
I'm getting
stand.
into. I think you probably want. I think if you manage to get past where you hit the head on the dome, I think then you go
Yeah.
into the ether.
Who did we speak to? David Weiss.
Yeah,
Oh,
we had
Flat
a-
Earther.
yeah,
Right.
nice.
Yeah. So he said.
Right, David Weiss.
Well, he said it was like we were like in a bubble on the bottom of a pan,
Right.
and there was no space beyond that. So I don't really buy into that version. So I think there's space. I'm going to say I think there's space.
I think there's space, but
Okay.
there's no way I can prove it myself.
No, I know.
So-
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
No, I mean, the thing is, to say that the footage is not real, that's one thing. It's then a leap to say,
Right.
therefore, this, and this
Right.
didn't happen, isn't it? You can only go off what you can go off.
Right. So
Yeah,
that's
they
why
could have
I'm
come back and
confident.
they forgot to put the film in the camera or something. Shit. What are we going to do, boys? We're going to have to go to
Or
MGM and get some
They could have.
Have-
get some footage made.
That's the thing. They could have come back.
Have you guys ever?
Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. No, you got to.
It's okay. I mean, it was just. I was just going to say they could have come back and the footage could have been unusable, and then they've had to do it all on a soundstage.
All right.
But
Well,
you know,
have you guys ever seen a funny thing? I don't know if that's it. It's a French movie.
Is it
on
Capricorn
Amazon.
1? Capricorn 1 or Capricorn 9 or something?
No, a funny
I
thing
don't
happened on the
think
way
so.
to the moon.
Oh, right.
I think it's that one. Is that one in French or like Belgian or something?
what's that?
He's a French director. He was on one of the Union of
Yeah.
the Unwanted shows.
Right.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure,
Oh wow! Dude.
unless I've just pulled that out of my rectum, I'm pretty sure he was on the Union of the Unwanted a couple of months ago.
Okay.
This
Well, if you got-
director.
that's a good documentary. If anyone wants to,
Right,
that
okay.
one
Yeah, because
they
he's a
killed.
filmmaker,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
goes into the sort of the practicalities of filming on the moon and whatnot. Yeah, I've seen something
Yeah.
with him in. And
Yeah, it was good. But like Kissinger was in there in that documentary, and another CIA guy. And basically, dude, like they used two CIA like actors to film, and it's weird like how much they openly admit. I don't know if it's because it's this Belgian guy or because they're just cocky, arrogant people. And then eventually they like these two CIA guys realize they have to get out, and then one's killed in Vietnam by suicide, like crashing into a tree, and then the other one jumped out of or something ridiculous, how they always just do some, insane suicide.
Yeah.
But But yeah, it's a good movie or good documentary.
2 shots to the head, suicide.
Yeah.
I definitely
Gary
would have thought
Webb.
the Russians would have wanted to go to the moon. Like,
Even if
even more so
Yeah,
if the Americans had got there first, but they just kind of dropped it, as far as I'm aware.
Well, did you guys see the video of China landing on Mars? That drone thing. Did you see that video?
I saw a bit of it. Yeah, the Chian Cheng. I think it is that called that. What's it? Tian. It was a Long March rocket, and they sent that probe up. Yeah. They had a little
But it
rover.
looked so fake, dude. Yeah, it looked like it's just like, and then I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Like someone
I don't know.
CGI'd it on a Pentium processing Windows 95 machine.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked terrible. Didn't look real.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. So
I mean, why
just
are you sort of swaying towards that the moon landing didn't happen then? Because
I mean, not the way they told it.
The following question is why, isn't it? That's what we're always trying to get at. Is what is the motivation for doing it?
Yeah. Well, I
one
think
of the
it's like,
Russians.
that to just unity, build up like propaganda, American exceptionalism. So now we can keep dumping, these huge military contracts. Like that was also in the one book I read. Like the lunar rover that looked like 2 lawn chairs on some wheels. That thing.
Yeah, wrapped in
That
tinfoil.
thing
Yeah.
cost like over $32 million contract. Literally, like I think and clearly that thing is not worth 30. Like, dude, you saw it. It literally looks ridiculous. But yeah. And what else? They playing golf on all that stuff, dude. It's just ridiculous. It's like so outrageous, Like again, that was the big thing about the suit. So after they came back, their Chernobyl eventually happens, with all this supposed radiation. And one reporter asked NASA, "Hey, like your spacesuits went through the Van Allen radiation belt. That's tons of radiation. Could we wear the spacesuits in Chernobyl?" And the guy said, "Oh, I don't think that'd be a good idea, because the suits didn't go through Playtex. The people making your bra and underwear didn't know how to make a radiation-proof suit,
Yeah. What is the radiation belt? That's something I
The
never.
Van Allen belt.
Yeah.
It's like a belt of radiation around the Earth.
Dude, it's miles. Yeah, like it's miles of
Right. Okay.
just bombardment.
Is that like stuff that's bouncing off our magnetic field or something?
I think so.
Yeah, like off the ionosphere.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I was quite surprised. It's always quite surprising that the space station, if the space station's real now you've got me thinking, how that stays up there. Is that like have some kind of radiation shielding, or is it
It's
just
well
not-
lower
it's
than
just
the Van
lower?
Allen belt. Van Allen belt's further out.
But surely it's still being bombarded by radiation.
They're just lights in the sky, man.
Okay.
Do you not remember what Dave said?
No.
That's
60 watt.
I've listened to Dave.
He's
right.
great. He's a great guest and really entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm not with
Yeah.
him. I'm not with him.
No.
Not on everything.
He's supposed to be. He's another one who's supposed to be coming back, actually, isn't he?
Coming back from where?
Well, no. He said he didn't finish with us. He said-
He could do 3 hours with Dave, I think, and
Yeah.
he'd still be none
Still-
the wiser.
Yeah.
No.
Well, have you guys ever read? There's a real good book if you're like ever bored. David Icke reference. That's where I got Who Built the Moon, and basically the moon statistics, dude. And I'm gonna go off my head here, so they're not gonna be perfect. But the moon, we only obviously see one side of the moon, right? But it's all of its figures are. Oh, it's like 40 times smaller than the sun, but the sun's 40 times more away from the moon, so it looks like the exact same size. Like all of these numbers, they just, I wish I had they're so good. Like but it's just,
Yeah, there's sacred
You know.
numbers, isn't it? It's 432.
right.
Yeah.
it's all this stuff that just doesn't make any sense at all. Like how, like it either proves intelligent design beyond a doubt because they're just too perfect, or someone. Oh, and that how it's if we went to the moon, they said they put they set off an explosion on it and it was hollow, and like so they are saying it's like a Death Star thing possibly, like it's an old satellite, all this stuff.
Ooh, the Traveller.
That's no me. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hollow Moon isn't one I've looked into.
Did you not play Destiny, Jack?
Oh, I got it. I got it. Sorry, what did you say?
I was just wondering if you played Destiny.
No, I haven't.
Right, okay. Don't matter then.
I think we're in the minority
Yeah.
nowadays.
What have you got there,
I'm
Jack?
not a big, but so every 27.322 days the moon orbits us. If the Earth is like 100%, the moon is 27.322% of the Earth. Every 10,000 days, the moon orbits us 366 times. You could fit 109 Earths in the diameter of the sun, but also if you lined up Earths, 109 Earths to get to the sun.
It's ratio, isn't it? I always heard it was 108.
All this stuff.
I won't split hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
10925. But yeah,
it's and all these things are averages. So like the distance between the Earth and the Sun, it has to be an average. The distance between the Earth and the Moon is an average, what have you. But when you average it out, there seems to be relationships there that suggests that that everything is connected, and it's quite a nice thought to have, really, because I would say, Jack, that the paradigm for definitely the last few decades, but with its roots in the Enlightenment, is that we are essentially meaningless biological robots on a ball of just on a ball of rock, insignificantly hurtling through space, and your life has no actual meaning.
Yeah.
Cheer up, man.
Definitely what they want to push. Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't agree with that.
Well,
but
exactly.
that's the narrative
But
that
if-
is being pushed.
If if there's no point to anything, all you can do is consume, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, and the other day, it feeds
That's a good
consumerism, and the other big danger is nihilism, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing's
Right.
And then UBI.
Oh, don't get me started on UBI. Do you think UBI is going to happen, Jack?
Yeah, dude. The whole voting, like, it makes I know everyone will say oh, this is racist, but less people should be able to vote. Like, you can't have people voting that either take out of the system, don't put anything in, or work for the system. That makes their interest is conflicted. Like, they will only, like, if you work for the state, you should either have a lesser counted vote or no vote, because if you work for the state, you're going to vote based on your interest, right? So your interest would be higher salary, more state government, more money, and it just continues this cycle, right? Like, and clear. Does that make sense? Like, I know that's but like if you put nothing into the system, you just you're going to vote to continue getting more stuff. Like, this is like a basic thought,
Yeah, this is because sort of universal is emancipation the right word? Regards to voting, is something that has been developed over the last 100 years.
Is it not suffrage?
Suffrage is probably a better word, yeah, not emancipation, manumission.
Yeah.
But it's only very recently. A lot of people don't know. In the First World War, the majority of English soldiers didn't have the vote because there was a land requirement. You had to own a certain amount of land to have the vote. And I see where you're coming from. I think the danger is if you're someone, say if you brought in something like that, like a land requirement, and then these politicians, these elites decide to send you into a meat grinder in France, you're in trouble, and you've no recourse. No right of recourse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point too. That's why I think it all comes down to like morality. That's like we're just going to continue moving in this inverted, immoral society or amoral society, and that's why they make fun of if you believe in God or you're a Christian, they're slowly going to turn that into white supremacy or whatever it will be, and because then when you have an amoral society, you can convince them really that their specs. They're going to do all their consuming and all of their whatever feels good. And yeah.
I mean, would you, as far as that view goes, would you extend that to sort of the new age stuff? So people who maybe don't believe in one of the traditional religions, but are spiritual, for want of a better word, the sort of the new age fashion that sort of really took off since the late 19th century, but mainly since the 60s, I would say.
Yeah. Well, whether it's Annie Besant did a very good job. I mean, they have like those quotes, her and my gosh, I'm forgetting her name. Who is Annie's first person?
Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky.
You got it. Thank you. But their quotes are like, they worked hand in hand with the Freemasons. It was all trying to create that new world order, maybe it was just like a wider net to catch. So like I understand there is like something spiritual going on, but I think it could be a tool that would be used negatively as well. But I don't know. How about you? What do you think?
It's a tricky one. There are sort of I detect communist undertones in some of the new age stuff,
nice.
which I'm not entirely comfortable with. A disclaimer: I'm actually a member of the Theosophical Society.
I think you're going to say the Communist Party.
No way. Are you?
Yep, and also the World Economic Forum.
Oh, you joined up?
Yeah. I get an email from Adrian Monk every week telling me what's shaking, giving me the DL on the WEF.
Dude, you're funny.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I do get an email. Hey, what did General Sun Tzu say? The Art of War?
Know your enemy.
Know thy enemy. Yeah.
So you're saying the Theosophical Society is your enemy?
No.
Okay.
No, but I just find it interesting because, like you, Jack, I'm a bit of a researcher. I like to read books on occult stuff, not necessarily signing up to everything, but just as a matter of education and to see what's going on. And I'm interested in subjects like tarot and sacred geometry and all this sort of stuff. It doesn't mean that I'm going to turn into I'm going to start a commune somewhere and start my own branch of the Theosophical Society, but I do find them subjects interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're super interesting. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't, I think that's like also in this like alt media, people like will tend to be like, oh, your ties with this, not, and just it goes on a wild tyrant, like they're a inside info, you know what I mean, dude. You know what I mean?
There's an interesting dynamic that I've noticed in the alt media community, if you want to call it that. And it's this interplay between occult and New Age and Christian. And this sort of interesting butting of heads that seems to occur.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a battle line there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's disinfo agents, divide and conquer, or what. Because I think most of the people... I'll tell you a good example. The Union of the Unwanted that our mate, the Odd Man, was on.
Yeah.
So you had like the Odd Man, Ken Ami, Jay Dyer, for example, on one side. And then you had Joe Rupe, Micah Dank, some other guy who wasn't on video, who I can't remember, sort of more on the occult side. And there's a definite tension there. It's unmistakable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just an observation.
No, it is. You're absolutely right. And Dyer, he especially feels very strongly. So.
Yeah, I would love. He would be in my top 5 guests. In fact, you've had someone I really want to get on our show, Isaac Weishaupt.
Oh yeah. He's awesome.
I keep meaning to ask him. Have you read some of his
Yeah.
books?
I've read the first, like one of the first ones, the one that has like Saturn on it. But yeah, I haven't read like this new one that he just came out with. I forget what it's called, but I think he's right. Like his idea is that, you know, his theory is, and I'm probably butchering it, but that either they want to group conscious aliens to come to the Earth, or that the aliens are demons and they're trying to bring them here. And that's like what roughly his theory is.
Yeah,
but I think he's on to something there.
Yeah. What you are you actively researching something in particular at the moment?
In particular, right now, I'm like stuck between a few, but I'm reading it's this book. It was like $1,000 on Amazon, but Odd Man found it for me. But it's the history of military intelligence, written by this father. And so that's what I'm working on right now. Like basically how, you know, we take for granted knowing information instantly in armies and stuff, and how it started with the Babylonians and all this stuff like that. That's what I'm reading right now.
Sounds
cool. It's a good book, dude. Yeah.
Military intelligence, did you say?
Yeah.
Babylonian military intelligence.
Right, dude. They had spies, dress them up as girls, send them through the enemy ranks and all this stuff. And then they had double agents, you know, just like they do now. But yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun.
No, exactly.
Yeah. You'll have to. Well, I was going to say send me the name of the book, but if it's £1,000, I'm not going to buy it.
Well, you can. I got the PDF, so I can send you the PDF of it.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love ancient history.
Yeah,
I've just started one.
Like it.
I've just started one by Tom Holland. He's an English historian. You might not be familiar with him.
I've heard that name.
Yeah, he's one of the bigger selling English historians anyway. But I'm just reading one of his books now about the period of late antiquity, which is sort of
cool.
If you think of like the rise of Muhammad, like around 630 AD. If you think like about 250 years either side of that, it's this period of history that's sort of shrouded in darkness in a lot of ways. There's
dude.
Yeah, no.
Do you know the phantom time theory?
No. What's
Phantom time. Oh, dude, I got another book. So the Dark Ages never happened, bro. I'll send you the book.
I'd be interested in that.
Oh, dude, it's mind blowing, dude. Like, there's so little evidence that the period of 674 to 974 never happened. Things that are in there, like Charlemagne was invented to set precedent for the Catholic Church that they would deem an emperor of the empire. Just like there's no archaeological evidence for that 300 years in Persia or in Europe. Also, like the Crusades, this was like the big point. So you're telling me, you know, the Muslims or whatever Arabs came in, they stole a third of Christian land, they raped their women, they did all this stuff, and then the Christians said, let's wait 300 years, then we'll go get them back, right? No, you would wait probably 5 years, get your armies, and you would rally behind to go start the Crusades to claim it back. You wouldn't, you know, we don't know 300 years ago what my ancestors did, right? But all this stuff, I'll send you the book.
That sounds good, yeah. I'm only about 40 pages into this book, but one of the key sort of takeaways at the beginning is this sort of period of Muhammad. There's no written evidence. Muhammad turns up around 630. There's nothing for 200 years before it's written down.
Right.
What was going on? It's like, you know, at the same period in Northumbria, where you have, barbarian Northumbrians managed to record, you know, pretty much everything that Saint Bede ever, said. But in the same period in Arabia, there's crickets for like 150 years.
You're going to love it.
That's the same with the
I'll send it
Gospels.
to you when we're
When
done.
they written like hundreds of years later.
Nope. No.
Is there evidence?
50.
Right.
I think they reckon Mark was probably the earliest gospel, and that was probably about 50 AD. Matthew a bit later, and then Luke is a fair bit later, maybe over 100 years later. And then Acts, because the same guy who wrote Luke wrote Acts. And there's the gospel. I think it's the gospel Q actually, the supposed missing source. So some biblical scholars think that Mark and Matthew borrowed from a third source, which is now lost to us. But there's so much arguments as when it comes to the Gospels and who wrote them and when. It's like, pick whichever scholar you want to believe, because ask 10 different biblical scholars about the Gospels and who wrote them, and you get 10 different answers basically.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
right. Yeah.
The big difference is that the gospel, at least, when it came to the Enlightenment and people started scholarly questioning the Christian books, the Christians were aware that these books were written by mortals who are fallible, and there will be mistakes in them and things that are edited, where there is a different dimension with the Quran and the Hadiths and the Ishnads, in that these are the word of God and they're sacrosanct, and that's why Islamic scholars in the 10th, 11th century couldn't question these things in the same way. They weren't put under the same scrutiny, and they weren't battered by literary scholars in the same way as the Old and New Testament have been since the Enlightenment. Gosh, well, I don't know what came over me then.
Jeez, you could be our next guest, Phil.
You nailed it.
Fuck, we've gone over an hour already. Oh man,
that was good fun, man.
Yeah, we should wrap up and let you, because you're still on holiday. We don't want to take up too much of your holiday.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no worries, dude. If you'd like, I'll send you that book though by Emmett Scott, and it's the Phantom Dark Age theory.
That'd be great.
And it talks all about. You would love it, dude. You would love it.
Cool. Right. Well, we shall say ta-ra. Just stay on the line for us for 2 minutes while we play ourselves out, Jack. And don't forget to check out all the links. Jack, email us any links to social media handles or whatever. Just drop me them on email, and I'll make sure I put them in the show notes.
Awesome.
And check out Jack's podcast.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in a flash. Don't touch that dial.
No.
Yeah.